Welcome to the 3D printer build. So how this is going to work is we're going to go step by step. I'm going to try to make it work with the tools that they provide. I'm going to go show you what I have, what's required for the step, and how it goes together. So basically for this step we need 2020 aluminum profiles. It's these guys here. We need 4 of them. The 375 millimeters of them. Now I see there's these holes drilled over here, and these are for the sides, and the ones without holes are for the front and back. You can't see the 2 other ones, but they're there. I'm going to build these this way because the legs have to go on kind of on this side, and then I'm going to flip it over afterwards. And the way I know that I'm set up to have the bottom on this side is because you see these holes here? They have kind of like a bigger hole drilled in there. I think it's for the head of the bolts that are going to go straight through this. It's not on this side, it's only on this side. So hopefully this will come across proper. You won't be able to see everything. You're fully zoomed out. This thing is actually a little bit bigger than I expected, so that's a good thing, not necessarily a bad thing. But I'll get started. So this is step 1. So this is the base of the 3D printer. I'm going to open these keys. I think it's this one. So I'm going to start by installing the grub screws and the 90-degree brackets. Just a little bit so they're not flopping around. We don't want them to go all the way through, but we want them to be secure. And these things are the most likely things to go missing in your build, because they are tiny. So there's only 4 of these inside corners, and this is where they're used in the base. That's 2. Yeah, these are already rolling all over the place. I'll also cut between each step because I need to take the protective backing off the acrylic parts. You don't want to watch me do that. And if screwing things in like this takes too long, I might speed it up too. We'll see. This is a learning process. The first 3D printer I put together, and the first video of this kind of assembly I put together. I do kit videos sometimes, but nothing with this many parts. There's a lot of parts of this. And here we go, almost done. Just one more bracket to do after. Can't believe I've managed not to lose any grub screws yet. But I have to say, this first step, so you need all 4 of these corner brackets. You need all of the grub screws, so that is 8 grub screws. You've got these M4 by 8 screws, 12 of them, and you've got these T-nuts here, 12 of them. So it's actually kind of whittling down the small parts pile quickly. Right, the hardware looks daunting. There's a lot of stuff there, but it's not too bad once you start working your way through it. So I get the last one in here. I have my instructions on this side to your right. Okay, I'm going to slide this in. I'm going to do kind of this half, and then I'll do the bottom half. So these just slide in like this. How do they go? They need to stick out like that. So this should allow me to... Interesting. How do you... Oh, I see. Okay. So if you look here, you see there's this kind of like this edge all the way up. On the other side, the edge ends right there. So I'm guessing that needs to go this way, so that this piece can slide over top. That's not too bad. So same thing, I need this kind of this way. Okay. Now I'm debating, I don't know if I should just put them all in. I think what I'll do is I'll try to adjust this as closely as possible, tighten it down, and then do the rest. That's really awkward to get in there. Guess I can hold it up like this. Okay, so there it just grabbed, so I'm going to loosen it up, slide it so that this is tight. Grab this one, do the same thing. I may have to adjust them until everything fits properly. So let's see. Still need to slide kind of this one here in that way. Loosen this. Trying to get this right the first time, but if I have to adjust it off camera, I'll do that too. Okay, so that's pretty flush there. Do the same thing over on this side. This seems to require a lot of bench space to get right. It seems like this one should be tightened first. That to a point where it locks, and then I can slide it. There we go. I can slide it back and forth here until this is perfect and lock that one down. It's not ideal. Maybe I'll try hoisting this up. Might be better, although you might be in the shadow. Here, I'll move it this way. Won't be able to do that on the other side though. I'll line this up as closely as I can. That's pretty close. I don't know how close, but not perfect. So I still need to move it this way. That's not too bad. So let's go on to the next ones. Down this way. So same thing here. This one needs to hook on to there. So what we're going to do is we're going to take these brackets, and we know that, is it this way? Yep. So we know that these need to go into here. So I'm going to just put them approximately, just so there's a bit of friction. Maybe too much friction. Okay, do the same thing with the other side. Okay, and then slide these in. They're actually pretty close. Not exactly, but pretty close. Loosen this, let that slide in. Tighten this up. Same thing with this one. And then tighten these sides. Am I still in shot? Yep, kinda. Need to try to hold that tight. And same thing here, hold this one tight. Okay, it's pretty close. I may have to adjust it a little bit, but I'll do that off camera. Not a big deal. Now I'm going to add these acrylic feet, sort of like that. Some of them aren't really done very properly. This one here has a whole bunch of sprue in there. It's as if it wasn't cut properly. That one could be a problem. Yeah, that one could be a problem. I do have a mill that I can plunge into there. The other ones seem good, so I'll have to check that one. If it's too much of a pain, I'll just bring it to my drill press and put it in. Fix it like that. So I'm going to put these in. Now these have the T-nuts. I need a Phillips. I'm just going to hold it with my hand in the back. These apparently, they should, because of the shape, they should go in and spin, and they should be able to grab onto the rail. We'll see how well that works. These are fantastic inventions though, these T-nuts and these extrusions. It means you can customize things pretty easily. Like you can make this either taller, wider, longer. Far simpler. Okay, so let's see if that works as intended. So these two will have to be kind of straight like this, and that one will have to be straight like this. And they should drop in there. And when I screw this in, it should spin and grab the rail. And it does. Would you look at that? 2 and 3. Very nice. So I'm going to leave these kind of loose. I'm going to fit the other 3, see if I need to fix this one, and I'll show you the result. And this here is the repaired hole. Don't know if I'm in focus, but as you can see, it's actually, the inside is a little bit cleaner than the factory hole, that one, but I did chip out a little bit on the edges, so that's not too bad. It's just they didn't, looks like they drilled the main pilot, but these holes all have a flat bottom, and it looks like they just didn't use that flat drill bit or that brad point or whatever they use, and went inside. So this one's fixed now, so I'm going to continue, going to install this, adjust it, show you the finished step. And so that is that. This frame is all put together, very rigid. This is just the bottom piece. These acrylic things are the feet. I found it was a bit easier if I loosened the set screws in these corner brackets inside here. I loosened them a little bit, held the corner the way I wanted it, and then tightened the feet. Actually, I found that it was much easier like that. Tighten the feet and then tighten the set screws in here. So I did that one corner at a time, and now we're all butted up everywhere. And again, I'm pretty sure this will be the bottom because you see the bolt holes there a little bit bigger. So I'm going to flip this around like this, and we're going to move on to the next step. So the next step here, we're actually going to install the Z-rails. So they'll be up and down. You may not be able to see that well, and actually I'm going to start running out of space because these Z-rails actually reach up to my lighting, but we'll see if we can make it work. So you need those, you need the M4x8 Phillips head screws. You need 8 of those. You need 8 M4 T-nuts. You need these M5x25mm bolts. They go up these holes that we were talking about earlier, and they actually thread up the end of these extrusions. And you need these corner brackets, and I'm assuming these corner brackets will be for supporting the Z-rails. So let's get started by first assembling the M4 screws onto some T-nuts. And I'm guessing we have to do both sides because I think once the Z-rails are installed, it won't be very easy to get these things on. So I'm going to do both sides. A little hard to get my fat fingers in there. There we go. Now these heads, they just barely don't go through the hole. So I think if I were to revise this design at all, I would just add some washers there. It'll work. The head will pinch on the hole it's in, but I mean, for just a little bit extra, I mean, it is some more hassle, but for a little bit extra hassle, a little bit more parts cost, I would say washers would be great to distribute the load. But what do I know, right? We'll see. If this becomes a problem, then I'll just add my own washers. And the Z height on this, the total Z height, is 440 mils on the 2020 extrusions. This thing claims to have a print volume of 220 mil by 220 mil by 300 mil. So the full size of the print volume will go up as high as 300 mils. Yeah, see how that can just pass right through those holes? It's not great, but it would be finicky adding washers. Yeah, look, see that hole isn't perfect, or this bolt isn't perfect, and so it slides through. Hopefully that won't be too much of an issue, but again, if it is, I will just add a washer. I'm sure I can find some washers somewhere, although the washers are the last part I was waiting for my 3D printer when this one came along. Since the heads will go through, maybe I'll just install the T-nuts on them first, make this much easier. Feed them through those slots. So like this. Yeah, I don't like how these fall out like that. Yeah, not a good sign. I'm not overly confident. And this one won't go through at all. So yeah, not consistent. That's for sure. Hopefully I don't have to go out and get washers. Hopefully I have something that'll work. It looks like these bolts might be inconsistent. Yeah, that's loose. That one's tight. How ridiculous. Just making sure here on my instructions. No, they don't say anything about washers. I kind of want to install it the way it's intended and then modify it sort of afterwards. I'm going to put these in the T-slots, see if I can get them to bite. It bites. Geez, I don't know. We'll have to see how well that stays. Okay, these two. Move these up and down. These guys. Yeah, not great on this part here, at least. They do make screws that have integral washers. Like the head's just a bit wider than what it usually is. That would be great, but I'm sure that would be an increase in price. And unfortunately, most people, me included, so I kind of deserve this, look for the cheapest and not necessarily the best in 3D printers. Just securing these onto the rails, and then when it comes time to, after we put the Z rails in, then I can tighten them down. These T-nuts are a magnificent invention though. Okay, so now the Z rails, I don't know how this is going to go. May have to bear with me here. I can put this in here. What am I propped up on? So that bolt goes in there. Yeah, it looks like I'll have to tilt this up, go across the camera. Yeah, well, you may not see all of this, but at least you can hear me, right? Yep, this is too big to go on camera, so I will just install the Z rails and then I'll bring you back.